This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Hello, everybody. I'm Teresa Woodard in Dallas. A trial for a former Uvalde school police officer is getting underway. Adrian Gonzalez is one of two officers charged with endangering the children at Robb Elementary, the kids they swore to protect. The trial is happening in Corpus Christi. Senior investigative reporter Tanya Iserer breaks down what we know about what Gonzalez did and didn't do the day of the mass shooting.
Adrian Gonzalez faces 29 counts of abandoning or endangering a child, 19 for the children who were killed and 10 for those who were wounded. He is the first police officer in the state of Texas to be tried under the statute for allegedly failing to take action. And the outcome of this case could have ramifications for law enforcement far beyond that courtroom. The body cam begins with officers running and a warning.
Guys, be careful! He might be in that building!
Several minutes later, a gunman armed with a long rifle had stepped into Uvalde's Robb Elementary.
Shots fired inside the building, Uvalde!
Uvalde School's police officer Adrian Gonzalez and other officers enter through the south side of the school. 77 minutes would pass from the time officers arrived on scene until tactical units finally moved in and killed the gunman. What Gonzalez did, or failed to do during those 77 minutes, is now at the heart of a 29-count indictment. Prosecutors allege that after hearing gunshots and being advised of the general location of the shooter, he failed to engage, distract, or delay the shooter, and that he failed to attempt to follow his active shooter training by advancing toward the gunman.
Watching the video and knowing everything that I know about the incident, clearly Uvalde failed at the most basic level of an active shooter response, which is to go and eliminate the threat immediately.
Jurors will now have to decide whether those failures weren't just missteps, but criminal acts.
This is one that could go either way.
Mike Howard is a Dallas criminal defense attorney and former public defender.
If I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to say, well, his inaction placed them, in danger.
But do you criminalize that?
That's right. I'm the defense. Where I'm going to argue is falling short of the mark is not a crime. Even being a coward is not a crime. The defense is really going to put forward, put yourself in Officer Gonzalez's shoes. When he arrives, what does he know? What does he not know?
In interviews after the shooting, Gonzalez told investigators that after entering the building and hearing gunshots, he attempted to call for a tactical team, but his radio had no reception inside the building.
So I stepped out and never went back into that hallway.
Here's Gonzalez positioned at the corner of the building, talking to the Uvalde police sergeant wearing the body camera, telling him what he saw when he first got there.
I saw a teacher on the ground and I thought she had tackled somebody. So when I came up, she was by her side. I saw her running and a cloud of dust. I thought she tackled somebody.
Here he is just minutes before police stormed the classroom and killed the gunman.
You want to start getting kids out? I can start jumping. Cover them. Watch. Go, run over there.
This was clearly not a barricaded person.
James Hawthorne served as the chief of a North Texas school district for 9 years until recently retiring.
You have the duty to respond, to act, and try to eliminate the threat because, again, lives are at risk.
The trial is likely to expose far more about what he did and didn't do that day, and whether those choices rise to the level of a crime.
As a prosecutor, I think you just really want to keep the focus on the children, the focus on the victims, and how, there was one man who could have prevented it.
A North Texas family is mourning the loss of a father after a deadly workplace accident in Parker County. Adriana De Alba spoke with his loved ones.
This is the area where a workday turned deadly. On Tuesday, Parker County Emergency Services told us they were called to Old Tin Top Road just after 5, and they found a man trapped by falling concrete, dead.
It don't sit well. None of it sit well with me.
That's the man's mother saying her firstborn son, 33-year-old Elsie Houston, is the man who died. A truck driver, a dad to 3 girls who loved his family.
He was phenomenal.
His mother says the moment she learned her son was gone, everything stopped.
This is like a dream, but every time I wake up, it's still the same.
Family members tell us he was delivering a concrete trough to a private ranch when the 2,500-pound piece of equipment fell on him, but they still don't know how exactly that happened.
I want to see where he was standing. I want to see where it all happened.
Houston's family says he loved trucking and was a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, but most of all, they say he was a protector, and that's what they'll miss most.
His hugs. Just knowing, you know, that was my firstborn son, and he was like, he was very protective of me.
The Parker County Sheriff's Office is now investigating his death. We also reached out to Springtown-based Prosperity Transportation, the company his family says he worked for, but we have not heard back.
It's just hurtful.
For his family, the grief is heavy, and the wait for answers feels endless. In Parker County, I'm Adriana Dalba.
The flu season this season is on track to be worse than normal with the arrival of a new variant. It's called subclade K. And as cases go up, vaccinations all across the board are going down. Kevin Reese spoke with North Texas doctors to find out why.
A lot of concerns that this may be a bad flu season.
The director of Dallas County Health and Human Services says that for a number of reasons. Influenza cases are on the rise. Nationally, a jump of 60% in 1 week, according to the CDC, and more than 3,100 flu deaths this season. In Texas, among multiple states where the number of flu cases is considered high. At the same time, Dr. Huang says flu vaccination rates are headed in the other direction.
The majority of the declines are in those numbers that we administer to Hispanic patients.
Dr. Wong says those patients are telling health department workers there is fear their information might be shared with immigration agents, so they often avoid government agencies like his.
When something like ICE threats or whatever are affecting our people getting vaccine, then that affects everyone.
Influenza does increase this time every year. Experts say a new variant is at play, sometimes a mismatch for this year's flu vaccine.
It appears to spread very efficiently. It's moving quickly. On top of that, we have holiday travel and indoor gatherings that's certainly accelerating transmission.
The CDC reports that COVID is on the upswing too. In Texas, cases increased 38.5% in 1 week, according to the state health department. And Texas leads the nation in measles cases in 2025 with more than 800.
You know, and now 2026, it's crazy that we're having to have these arguments about vaccines.
So the Dallas County Health Director will keep preaching to whoever might listen.
There's just so much chaos going on at the federal level, whether it's funding, whether it's vaccine recommendations, all these things.
Things he hopes won't make a bad flu season even worse. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
And those are your headlines from North Texas. Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. We're learning new details about 24-year-old Sydney Marquez, who was recently found alive nearly 3 weeks after she went missing. KHOU 11 obtained surveillance video showing police talking with Marquez on Friday morning, then letting her go at her own request. Her family says they're still worried for her safety, citing possible mental health concerns. Orko Mena has the latest.
You stay right there, we won't put you in.
What do I get paid for?
Exclusive ring camera video shows Jersey Village police officers speaking with who's believed to be 24-year-old Sydney Marquez. She was reported missing on December 11th, and more than 3 weeks later, someone spotted Sydney around 1 o'clock this morning near Seattle Street and Senate Avenue. Officers responded and recognized Sydney from a missing person flyer.
Right now, it's saying you're a missing person. We have an obligation.
Okay, you found me. Congratulations. I'm 24 years old. I am an adult. I am not missing. You found me. Congratulations.
Police say after speaking with Sydney, officers determined that the legal criteria for an emergency detention order were not met. EMS did a medical evaluation and found no visible signs of trauma and no need for further medical attention. Police say Sydney asked to be let go, and as an adult, she was released and removed from missing status.
And all they did was take her vitals. That's not a proper mental health, psychiatric evaluation.
Sydney's family tells me they don't agree with police who say Sydney did not appear to be in crisis. What do you make of that?
This is exactly what we were worried about. The cops finding her, releasing her, saying that she's simply not at risk because she's not suicidal. But it doesn't mean that her behaviors are safe. It doesn't mean that she has the capacity to make these decisions.
Loved ones say Sydney is bipolar, hasn't been taking her medication, and should have been brought to a hospital for questioning.
Have them determine Sydney's state of mind, not the police officers. Someone who knows how to handle this diagnosis.
Police say officers offered Sydney hotel accommodations and food, but she refused. The resident whose Ring camera captured the initial encounter this morning tells me it appears officers did everything they could.
They were basically very professional, and she seemed not too eager to go with him. The young lady seemed very aware of the situation.
That was Orko Manor reporting. Galveston police are investigating after a man pretending to be an ICE agent was caught on camera. Take a look.
Name and badge number. I don't have to give it to you. You're not a real cop. Stop shining that light in my eyes.
Quit bothering people. You ain't a cop.
Robert Harvey captured this video on November 9th after spotting what appeared to be a traffic stop. But he tells us he knew the uniform didn't look right, so he confronted the suspect. 44-year-old Joshua Warner refused to show an ID and eventually got into the passenger seat of a blue car, which then left the scene. Galveston police later identified him and took him into custody on December 22nd on 2 counts of impersonating a public servant. He's being held on $500,000 bond. A Houston restaurant is speaking out after hidden cameras were found in one of its bathrooms. Police say the camera was installed last Tuesday at Lupe Tortilla in Hedwig Village and was found less than an hour later by an employee. Authorities say it recorded a woman and a young girl, but also captured images of the person who installed it. The suspect, identified as 31-year-old Basin Elias Pugh, who was an employee at the restaurant, now faces a felony charge for invasive visual recording and has an ICE hold for allegedly using fake IDs. In a statement released on Friday, Lupe Tortilla said in part, it is grateful to the team members and managers whose attentiveness and quick action helped bring the matter to the attention of authorities, contributing to a swift response. The restaurant went on to say it is cooperating in the investigation. In other local news, students and parents showed up at a Baytown town hall calling for change after a Sterling High School student was stabbed to death 2 months ago. Amanda Henderson spent the day there learning about the new student-formed coalition.
The 5 students who put together the Baytown Student Safety Coalition says they did so to ensure the district would hear their voices. In a packed Love United Methodist Church, Goose Creek CISD parents and students are speaking up, one by one, about safety concerns.
Throughout all this year, my only source of information was Facebook. Today we're worried if a popping balloon is a gunshot.
We truly believed our lives were in danger. My body froze, and then I ran too.
This town hall was started by Sterling High School students, including Ace Ellis.
This is a way for people to hear us, and in a way that's non-threatening. We want to collaborate, and we believe that this is a way for our demands to be known and to be heard.
Ellis is one of several students who formed the Baytown Student Safety Coalition shortly after the death of their classmate, Andrew Meismer.
Communication all around is very important. That day, December 17th, there was a complete lack of communication on what exactly was happening, and it caused panic and it caused fear.
Students and parents have been asking for safety solutions since a 16-year-old Meismer was stabbed to death, allegedly by 18-year-old Andre Matthews at school in December. Among those present, Andrew's parents and incoming Goose Creek CISD Superintendent Joe Rodriguez. How do you think stepping in you'll be able to take, again, those concerns and really put them to the front of rebuilding that trust with the district?
Well, there's going to be plenty of conversations, but it's going to take action.
Rodriguez says that action will look like conversations, not only with students, but also with staff. He says he intends to have those in this next semester, his first as superintendent for Goose Creek CISD. In Baytown, I'm Amanda Henderson, KHOU 11 News.
That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Cheryl Mercedes.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila out of Dallas. And as we take a look at the Texas headlines this week, pretty nice start to the week across the state and abnormally warm for most of us. Pleasant weather across the state on Monday. On Tuesday, we'll have near record high temperatures for some. This includes the Dallas-Fort Worth area. As we look at Wednesday, still very warm for this time of the year. Obviously not for Texas in general, but just for the fact that it's early January. And a little bit of rain is possible in West Texas late Wednesday. Most of Wednesday will be dry across all of Texas, but late Wednesday night a storm system will roll through and bringing us a better chance of rain by Thursday for most of the area. And I'll talk about that as we look at the headlines and the forecast for some of the big cities in Texas. Amarillo, not bad. Hey, you're in the panhandle of Texas. It's in the upper 60s in early January, Tuesday and Wednesday, after a 74-degree day on Monday. That's pretty good. Corpus, warm, mostly sunny, highs around 80 degrees. DFW, there's some of that near record warmth, upper 70s Tuesday and Wednesday. El Paso, some cooler weather by Wednesday as that storm system approaches. We'll show you that rain chance here in a moment. Houston, low 80s Tuesday and Wednesday, mid 70s in Lubbock. And then look at that, 82 to 83 in San Antonio Tuesday and Wednesday. And even in the 80s in Waco, 81 on Tuesday, 80 on Wednesday. High temperatures again across the state. You see the warmth. You know, for this time of the year, this is well above normal. Most of these areas are running about 20 degrees warmer than normal, especially in parts of central Texas and north Texas and up to the panhandle. Temps in the 70s and low 80s, upper 60s in East Texas, Texarkana, 69 degrees. And we do have that chance of rain to talk about. Monday, dry across the state, a little bit of cloud cover, especially here in southeast Texas. We'll see some of that moisture move north into East Texas. And then Tuesday looks like more sunshine for more of the state. Okay, so Monday, partly to mostly cloudy, about the eastern half of the state. Tuesday, most of us will get in on some sunshine. Wednesday, you'll start to see the approach of a storm system that's coming from the southwest. This is Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. We're still quiet here in Texas, but watch off to the west. See the rain starting to pop up in parts of the desert southwest and northern Mexico. That's where we could introduce the chance for a couple showers in El Paso, down to the Big Bend, up to Alpine and Midland. By the time we get to late Wednesday night, you see the rain there, even in the panhandle late Wednesday night. Now on Thursday, scattered rain, a few thunderstorms. I don't have severe weather in our forecast across any part of Texas on Thursday, but scattered rain and a few thunderstorms would be possible. And honestly, most of us actually need that rain. We left behind a very dry December. Now we're in January. We could use some rain. These aren't typically our wetter months. So any rain would be appreciated. At this point, it looks like the highest coverage will be parts of North Texas and East Texas as we get into Thursday. And then by Thursday evening, most of the rain has pulled into Arkansas and Louisiana. Some lingering showers or sprinkles will be possible as we get into Friday morning and maybe even parts of the panhandle. Early Friday morning, seeing a few snow showers on Friday. We'll keep an eye on that. But overall, Thursday's the best chance of rain for parts of North Texas. Hopefully you get some, because like I said, we need it, and kind of breaking the forecast down by region over the next 3 days. West Texas, comfortable temperatures, dry weather until Wednesday night. That's when we'll bring in that chance of rain for El Paso, Lubbock, and Midland. Central Texas, down into the hill country, Fredericksburg, 80s, Waco and Austin, 80s. Very nice weather for this time of the year. Some of you don't like the warmth, and I get that, but man, it could be a lot worse. South Texas, not looking too bad. San Antonio, Still in the lower 80s Tuesday and Wednesday. Hard to believe we're talking January here, but that's what we've got. Corpus Christi, low 80s. Laredo, same thing, up to the mid-80s. Look at Wednesday, 86 degrees in Laredo. North Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Weatherford, Denton, all in the middle and upper 70s with mostly sunny to partly sunny skies at times. East Texas, from Houston to Beaumont to Tyler, very warm for this time of the year. Highs running about 15 to 20 degrees warmer than normal through this stretch, Monday through Wednesday. And then in the valley, McAllen, Brownsville, Mission, very warm. Some of you will be approaching 90 degrees. It's pretty remarkable for this time of the year. You can see McAllen on Wednesday, 88 degrees, and same thing with Mission. I hope everybody has a great work week. I know a lot of folks are heading back to work and school this week, and I hope it's a good one.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
In Austin, I'm Adam Bennett. Austinites, including some with ties to Venezuela, are reacting to the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. KV's Daniel Gomez caught up with some of them.
Elizabeth Guns is among those who are rejoicing after answered prayers Saturday.
It will start a new Venezuela. It will start the Venezuela that we all hope that it will be, a Venezuela that is prosperous.
The United States carried out its mission to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Explosions were heard in the country's capital city of Caracas.
It was very targeted. It was targeted to the 3 places where Maduro could be, or an airplane to take him out of the country could be.
He is now detained in New York City with his wife. Both are awaiting court proceedings for federal charges of narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons charges.
As we come back from the new year celebrating with family and friends and our loved ones, they have chosen to kidnap the president of a sovereign nation.
Scarlett Lopez is with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. She doesn't believe the capture of Maduro was justified.
It's a power grab, it's an oil grab, and we have to see it for what it is.
The developing situation undoubtedly bringing strong emotions.
I know it's hard to understand the fact that United States is invading Venezuela today. It's not actually an invasion. I mean, the country is really ruined down because of the regime.
I didn't think I could be more disappointed in our government.
For now, Venezuelans are anxiously waiting to see what comes next. Daniel Gomez, KVUE News.
And on Tuesday, there's a special Mass for Venezuela at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Manor at 6 p.m. Well, Austin hemp retailers are raising new concerns over a fresh set of proposed rules from the Texas Department of State Health Services. That department rolled out the proposal recently to regulate the manufacture, distribution, and retail sale of consumable hemp products across Texas. Sellers say they come with steep fees that could price out small businesses. Local businesses like Restart CBD say the proposed rules would significantly change how consumable hemp products are regulated in Texas. KV's Brenda Perez explains the potential impact.
Stepping into the new year, Texas health officials look to ramp up regulation on the state's hemp industry. Some of the proposed rules include mandatory product recalls, complaint tracking, testing requirements, and strict 21 and over age verifications. This in line with the governor's executive order signed in September, which aimed to restrict minors' access to hemp-derived THC products and strengthen oversight across Texas.
This is a long time coming, but action is actually being taken now.
Washeda Tarabi, co-owner of Restart CBD, says it introduces long overdue consumer protections. Other provisions, like new licensing fees, raise serious concern.
We are licensed through the Department of State Health Services, and so we pay into a program to be regulated, and those fees are in the hundreds of dollar range, and the proposed changes would increase that fee from a retail perspective to $20,000 annually per location.
The proposal would also increase licensing fees for manufacturers to $25,000 annually. She worries what this price hike will mean for small businesses.
Texas is supposed to be, supportive of small family businesses, and so for us and our peers, we know this is going to be a huge impact to our business and just the program as a whole, because it's a really big price change.
DSHS projects the proposed rules will generate about $202 million in revenue for each of the first 5 years they're in effect. Their impact analysis also states nearly 10,000 small businesses would be impacted. Traube says while these rules aren't final, she encourages the community to weigh in.
Time to get people involved, and so know that your voice needs to be heard to help protect and save this next chapter for the hemp industry here in Texas.
DSHS is taking public comments through January 7th. Now, if adopted, these rules could take effect as early as January 25th. Well, this year, voters will head back to the polls. Texas Democrats have high hopes, and they're trying to go on the offensive to shrink Republican control in the Lone Star State. For the first time in several cycles, national Democrats are planning to put resources into Texas. KV's Daniel Perot has more on the effort to flip GOP-controlled state House districts.
As we enter 2026, Texas Democrats are looking to maximize their party's chance of flipping seats while ginning up engagement among voters.
We're going to be on the offense.
The Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, the national party's campaign arm, has put the Texas House on its target map. It's investing $50 million nationwide this year. State Representative Cristina Morales leads the House Democratic Campaign Committee.
We're going to change the message and really focus on getting out there and letting folks know what we're really about.
Morales says Democrats are initially targeting 5 seats. House Districts 34 and 37 in South Texas, which Republicans won by 10 and 11 points in 2024. Political science professor Cal Gilson from SMU says that's quite the margin to overcome.
It'll take quite a Democrat wave to knock those 2 incumbent Republicans out.
Also on the list, State Representative Angie Chen Budden in North Texas and House Districts 118 and 121 in San Antonio, which Republicans won by 3 and 5 points in 2024.
If you've got a weak Republican opponent, good Democrat, plenty of money, good campaign, you can get a couple of surprises.
Hispanic voters, Morales says, will be key.
They're the swing vote now who have felt left out of the process.
Morales says she wants to find creative ways to help get the vote out in Texas, including targeting messaging to different regions of the state rather than one statewide message.
We have to recognize the nuances within those groups. The South Texas Latinos are very different than the ones who live here in my district.
Democrats are hoping this midterm will look more like 2018 when they gained 12 seats. Since then, they've lost much of that ground.
It seems to be lining up so far, but we've got 304 days to go. A lot can happen in that time.
They're hoping this environment and this summer's quorum break, where House Democrats fled the state over congressional redistricting, can propel them to victory.
Now, Republicans currently control 88 out of 150 Texas House seats, so that means Democrats would need to flip 14 seats to win control of the lower chamber. That's a tough task, even in the most favorable conditions. But even if they don't take control, if Democrats can cut the GOP majority in the House, they could increase their influence over the chamber. Well, it might seem like the primary election is far away, but there's actually just less than 1 month left to register to vote. The deadline to register for the March 3rd primary election is February 2nd. Texas law requires eligible voters to register by the 30th day before Election Day. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Adam Bennett.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Health officials say flu cases are climbing across Central Texas as we head deeper into winter. While activity hasn't peaked yet, experts warn the next few weeks could be the toughest part of the flu season. Here's a look at what's spreading, who's most at risk, and how you can protect yourself.
Health officials say this flu season is shaping up to be fairly typical, but with one notable difference.
Generally, what we're seeing is relatively typical. We have seen more flu B this year so far than we have flu A. Our numbers are increasing, but they definitely haven't I don't think they haven't peaked.
Interim Director of Public Health with Waco-McLennan Health District, Stephanie Alvey, says last year's peak came in mid to late January, and holiday travel and gatherings could push cases higher in the coming weeks. Dr. Tim Martindale says another concern this season is a tougher strain of flu A circulating nationwide, combined with fewer people getting vaccinated.
We have a tougher strain hitting us, and we have less people protected. And so we're in a spot that's especially vulnerable the next few weeks.
Doctors say vaccination remains the best defense, even this late in the season.
So I do think it's worthwhile getting the shot. It's still available if you're older, if you have chronic medical conditions, if you're younger. All those things are things that can make you more at risk for having a rough time.
In the meantime, officials say simple steps can help slow the spread.
Same thing that we've been telling people for years: wash your hands, cover your cough, those kinds of things. If you feel like you have something coming on and you have to go see family, a mask isn't a bad idea.
Both Alvey and Martindale say if symptoms worsen, especially high fever or trouble breathing, it's time to call a physician. And remember to get plenty of rest and liquids to help fight and prevent the virus from spreading this winter.
Now, as of Sunday, no flu-related deaths have been reported to Waco-McLennan Health District. Officials expect flu activity to continue rising through the end of the month. They say vaccination, good hygiene, and staying home when sick can make a big difference. Well, more than 4 million Texans are waking up to a new reality this year: higher health insurance costs. Enhanced subsidies for some Affordable Care Act enrollees expired January 1st. 6 News reporter Sydney Walker has more on what this change means.
The original Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, provided subsidies to buy health insurance. Then, during the COVID pandemic, it expanded.
They made the subsidies more generous, and they applied them to people with middle and even higher middle income.
Pat Flavin said the subsidies set to end January 1st, 2026, became a political focus.
Democrats in the Senate have made extending these subsidies to purchase health insurance a priority.
But the parties clashed, and then the longest government shutdown in history.
A deal never materialized. The government reopened. There was a vote held on extending the subsidies, but it didn't have the needed 60 votes.
The subsidies were no more, the ones added in 2020.
It is not the case that all the subsidies went away. So the subsidies for lower income folks are still very much in place.
That had a huge effect for the middle class.
Millions of more Americans signed up for health insurance.
Millions that may go without.
Read stories about the folks that their premiums are doubling, that they're just deciding to go without health insurance.
Millions that are also voters.
I think this will be one of the defining issues of the 2026 midterm.
Flavin said it's an added boost for Democrats and a hard problem for Republicans to ignore.
Because of that, they're sort of circulating their own potential plans to fix the problem as well.
But even harder for some Americans to get used to.
Most polls show that majorities of Americans are in favor of extending the subsidies.
And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. A multi-agency search for a wanted man out of Jim Wells County has ended. It stems from an incident that happened back on New Year's Eve. Fremont police say Damian Rodriguez has been taken into custody. Police say he fired shots at both local officers and Texas state troopers, but luckily no one was injured. The Fremont police chief says the capture was complicated by New Year's celebrations.
It was a bit challenging because it was right at the fireworks portion of New Year's. There was a lot of traffic, kids on the street, things like that, and we had to be extremely careful to keep our community safe while at the same time conducting our manhunt.
A task force of nearly 100 local, state, and federal officers helped find and capture Rodriguez. They also recovered a loaded AR-15. He was taken to the Jim Wells County Jail and faces, among other charges, 4 counts of aggravated assault of a police officer. For over 40 years, the Padre Island National Seashore has protected endangered sea turtles along the coast. Now, the National Park Service is stepping back, shifting rescue and nesting efforts to the county and partner agencies. Michael Gibson explains.
Nueces County Commissioner Brent Chesty says the county is now working with the Texas State Aquarium, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and NOAA to take over both the turtle stranding network and the nesting programs, roles long handled by Padre Island National Seashore. Chesty says the move comes after repeated pullbacks by the National Park Service.
The whole turtle plan will include, nests, it will include cold stun turtles, it'll include everything because you have to. I don't know what the end of the day plan will be because we're just in the early phases of that.
For more than 40 years, the programs were led by Donna Shaver. She's widely credited with building one of the most successful sea turtle conservation efforts in the entire country.
Donna will always be welcome in whatever capacity she can participate, and I don't know what that's going to be because of the fact that she's a federal employee, but she will always be someone that's involved in this because she's the one that started this, she's the one who's kept it alive.
The Texas State Aquarium would play a central role in helping to manage the transition. Its parent company, the Oceans and Wildlife Institute, is fully behind that effort.
The conversations we've had one-on-one with some of the elected officials and agency officials are that everybody we've talked to, hands down, has been supportive of making sure we have a sustainable plan for sea turtles in the coastal bend. And that's what gives me a lot of optimism that we're going to figure this out. It's important to people here in Texas. We're not going to let thousands of sea turtles freeze during the winter. We're not going to let thousands of Kemp's Ridley hatchlings, face all the perils that they face when they're trying to make it to the ocean.
City Council member Eric Cantu says the city needs to play a big role in this plan.
The city needs to get involved, and I'm going to talk to the city manager and see what we can do to get this to help them, for this program.
Michael Gibson, 3 News.
A new event is hitting the bullseye at the Nueces County Junior Livestock Show. For the first time, archery is part of this year's competition, giving students another way to take part beyond traditional livestock projects. The contest is open to 3rd through 12th graders from programs like 4-H and FFA, with competitors traveling in from neighboring counties.
I think it's pretty cool that we don't have to travel as far to other areas. We get to have it kind of in our own backyard and get to host other people, so it's kind of fun just to have everyone here.
Not everybody wants to raise an animal, so they have an opportunity to win buckles and banners and be a part of the ginormous crowd that we have this year. I think we have over like 900 and something kids registered this year, so it's a fun experience for them.
Organizers say the goal is to build discipline, confidence, and give kids a chance to showcase their skills. And that's a quick look at some of what's happening right here in South Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and this is the news in San Antonio. Violence unfolding across the city over the weekend. Police are now investigating after a man is shot on the south side and 2 people were stabbed on the north side. And a wrong-way crash leaves a woman fighting for her life. This was a scene just after 12:30 Saturday night off of FM 78 and Foster Road. A vehicle left mangled near a bus stop after police say a wrong-way driver slammed into a car head-on near the intersection. Police say the driver of a white car is suspected of drunk driving and causing the crash. That woman was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. A man is shot at a Southside motel after some kind of altercation broke out. It happened just before 9:30 Saturday night at the Sunrise Motel off the 4500 block of South Presa Street. The man in his late 30s was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Police say the suspect took off after the shooting. Investigators now still trying to find clues as to who might be the shooter. 2 people were stabbed at a Northside apartment complex around 12:15 Sunday morning. That's when officers were called out to the complex off the 5200 block of Blanco. They say a man stabbed another man during a party in the courtyard. During the chaos, a woman was also stabbed. Police say the suspect was arrested and the victims are expected to be okay. Chaos breaks out at the San Antonio Zoo after police say A man stabbed 2 people near the zoo's exit. It happened around 6 o'clock Saturday night. Officers say a fight broke out near the gift shop and 2 people jumped in to try to break up the fight. Well, that's when police say a suspect pulled out a knife, stabbing the victims, a 17-year-old and a man in his 30s. Both were rushed to the hospital and are expected to be okay. The suspect has been arrested and now facing charges in connection to the attack. Police are still searching for 2 suspects after a man was shot and killed outside a bar on New Year's Day. The Bexar County Medical Examiner has identified the victim as 37-year-old Marcus Robinson Pines. The ME reports he died of a gunshot wound to the head. Investigators say the shooting happened Thursday morning in the parking lot of Stout House off Potranco near Highway 151. Robinson Pines was in his truck when police say he was shot several times. A car slams into the front of a Northwest Side hotel. Take a look at this. Fire crews rushed to the scene around 9:30 Friday night at the Sure Stay Plus Motel off I-10 near De Zavala and UTSA Boulevard. When crews got there, they say they found a gaping hole in front of the motel where the car had plowed into a wall. It's still unclear if anyone was seriously hurt. San Antonio Fire also say they sent their heavy rescue team to make sure the structure wasn't in collapse. Police have not yet said how that driver lost control and slammed into the building. A community still grieving over the death of 19-year-old Camila Mendoza Olmos. Hundreds gathered Saturday night to honor her life. The teen disappeared on Christmas Eve and was found days later in a field where deputies say she had taken her own life. KENS 5 reporter Mike Jimenez has been following this story from the beginning and was there as mourners shared their memories of how Camila will be remembered.
Camila's mother, Rosario, says she has no words for all the love and support she has received. And although she feels pain from her daughter's passing, she takes comfort in knowing all the lives that her daughter has impacted. Saturday evening, hundreds came out to the celebration of life for 19-year-old Camila Mendoza Olmos. The teen disappeared on Christmas Eve after being seen on surveillance video standing next to her car that morning. 6 days later, Camila's body was found in a field near her home. The medical examiner said she died by suicide.
This is not the outcome we wanted or what we hoped for.
After Camila went missing, family, friends, and community members all united together to search for her. Camila's mother, Rosario, says she is thankful for everyone who has helped the family during their time of need.
The faith and prayers that people have given us today gives us the strength and support.
During the celebration of life, candles were lit and balloons released, and many shared memories of Camila, or Cami, as she was called by family and friends. Throughout the entire ordeal, Rosario asked for prayers from the community. And Saturday evening, she continued asking for more prayers to help comfort the family as they deal with their painful loss. Even through the pain, Rosario says she will always remember her baby Cami with love.
With her beautiful smile, her eyes, watching her happy, dancing, knowing how she loved and loved others and how many others loved her.
Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, there is help out there. You can call or text the 24/7 Suicide Crisis Lifeline at 988. And that is the news in San Antonio.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. Beaumont police are looking for a suspect that arrived at a convenience store. Officers were called to the Valero Food Basket on Dahlin. Police say the suspect stole money from the victim as they were withdrawing cash from the ATM inside. Here's a look at the suspect. Police say he got into a fight with the victim before taking off in a silver vehicle with rear end damage. They are still working to find him. And family and friends gathered back at the North Ridge Manor Apartments in Beaumont for a balloon release. They were honoring the life of 17-year-old Krishan Burkett after he was killed in a shooting. Now, 19-year-old Leon Goodman is charged with his murder. He's in the Jefferson County Jail with a bond of $1.5 million. A 16-year-old is also charged with the murder. I spoke to Burkett's family, who says they're absolutely heartbroken.
That's one of the hardest things for me, but I just have to accept the fact, that God called him home.
A sea of blue and silver balloons filled the skies above the Northridge Manor Apartments Friday afternoon to honor the life of 17-year-old Krishan Burkett.
He always lit up a room. Like, he was the nicest person I'll ever meet.
Former classmates like Talia LeVanc and family members offered comfort to one another at the very same place where the teen was shot and killed.
I had a feeling, and I checked his location like that night, and then the next morning they said that he passed, and I didn't believe it at first.
Burkett's grandmother, Anna Wynn Johnson, says he was smart and set to graduate early.
He was goofy. He loved to make music. He had something going for himself. Took his life too soon.
Beaumont police arrested 19-year-old Leon Goodman and a 16-year-old in the shooting. His family says he considered the two his friends.
He came outside and he got shot. It was no gang related. It was none of that. He played basketball with my son about a week before that. He just killed my grandson.
Bernaya Boudreaux and Burkett were once in a relationship. She says they share a 10-month-old baby girl who would now grow up without her father.
I will, forever carry his name, and that I will be, raising his daughter with all the support and family I have.
Meanwhile, his grandmother hopes his death will bring awareness to teen violence.
The best thing I could tell everybody out here, reach one, teach one. You see these young men, help them. Stop looking at them thinking they thugs.
That was just one of 3 shootings that happened recently in Beaumont. Just hours before Krishan Burkett was killed, the food basket was shot up on East Lucas Drive. A car speeding away from the scene got in a wreck, shutting down the road. Beaumont police say it's unclear if the 2 shootings are connected. They also haven't said if they are looking for any suspects. And then 3 people were injured in another shooting. It happened after investigators say a fight broke out in Beaumont's Longshore Hall during a party. They say the fight spilled into the parking lot where several people started shooting. No word on if Beaumont police are seeking any suspects in this shooting either. We have reached out to Beaumont police for more information on all 3 shootings and have been told that there is not any releasable information. A Winnie man is set to be sentenced for a deadly 2023 hit and run. Trishan Dunham pled guilty to manslaughter, an accident involving death. It's for the crash that killed Christian Skies. Skies was the technical director for Lamar University's Department of Theater and Dance. Investigators say Dunham slammed his pickup into the back of Skies' SUV. It caused it to flip several times, killing him. Authorities say Dunham left the scene in another vehicle. Under the plea agreement, Dunham faces 3 years in prison, followed by 10 years of probation. He must also pay child support for the victim's child. And the city of Beaumont has received enough water samples to test to fulfill a state and federal mandate. It's all in an effort to learn more about water lines that are made with copper and lead. Officials confirm 92 of 100 samples so far are below the 90th percentile that meet state and federal requirements. Current findings can be available through the Texas Drinking Water Watch and the city's annual water report. And those were your headlines from Southeast Texas.
I'm Ayana Aird, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. We're learning more about the family member who was killed at a White Oak home on New Year's Eve. 23-year-old Zachary Keys was arrested and charged with murder. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza was in Longview and spoke with investigators. Here's more.
Investigators say that this is a tragic case for the family and the community, happening just hours before the new year, involving a mother and her son. Gregg County Sheriff's deputies were called to a home on Jamerson Road in White Oak just before 4 p.m. on New Year's Eve on a call for a possible homicide. When deputies arrived, they found 58-year-old Penny Renee Keys outside her home.
Our officers showed up on scene, confirmed that we did find Miss Keys there laying what appeared to be multiple stab wounds.
She was then rushed to a local hospital where she later died from her injuries. Family members told deputies they believed Penny's son, 23-year-old Zachary Keys, was responsible. Chief Deputy for the Gregg County Sheriff's Office, Craig Harrington, says Zachary Keys left the scene before deputies arrived. They used technology and tracked him down.
We utilized the Fusion Center and we started tracking some of our data, and that's how we were able to locate him.
According to Gregg County court records, Zachary Keys was previously arrested in 2022 for criminal trespassing, and his most recent arrest came in 2024 for charges of DWI, evading arrest, and aggravated assault on a public servant. We did ask Deputy Harrington about his previous charges, and he would not comment. With help from the Panola County Sheriff's Office, Keys was arrested during a traffic stop and taken into custody without incident.
It's very tragic. There's nothing good that comes out of this. It's very horrible. It's extremely bad when you get a family member that attacks another family member.
Deputy Harrington called this a unique case, making it especially difficult for both the family and the community.
You know, we always try to identify that. Of course, you always want to have a motive. Sometimes, though, it's motives that you get, motives that you don't want. So,
investigators say evidence is still being processed, including lab work and an autopsy, before being submitted to the district attorney's office. I reached out to friends and family of both Zachary and Penny Keys, and right now the family was not interested in talking at this time, but friends tell me that she was a loving and caring mother devoted to her children, and that they're shocked and can't imagine what could have happened to lead to something like this. And that's a question I also asked Deputy Harrington, and he said right now there's just no clear answers, and that investigators will likely need more time till they know more. Reporting in Longview, Robert De La Garza, CBS 19.
And it's been 5 years after the Starville shooting that killed Pastor Mark McWilliams and injured Mike Sellers, a member of the church. That Sunday in January 2021 turned tragic when a fugitive entered Starville Methodist Church. Pastor Mark McWilliams was killed, and church member Mike Sellers was shot multiple times while trying to get help. Despite the severe challenges, Sellers survived. 5 years later, he says his faith carried him through, and he now shares his story as a testimony of forgiveness, healing, and what he believes was divine intervention. And police are still looking for a man who robbed a Jacksonville gas station at gunpoint Saturday afternoon. Jacksonville police say the suspect right there on your screen entered the store on North Jackson Street around 2:30 p.m., showed a gun and demanded cash from the register before leaving with an unknown amount of money. No one was hurt during the incident, but officers are still reviewing surveillance footage and following up on leads. Again, here is a picture of who they're looking for, so anyone with any information is asked to call the Jacksonville Police Department at 903-586-2546. Well, that's a wrap for your East Texas News headlines. I'm Ayana Aird.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.